Thank you, Chairman Graham, and thank you very much to the witnesses for being here. From my first job in government as a Special Assistant Attorney General in an office that had complete prosecution authority. There are 3 states where the Attorney General is the DA, and I was able to serve in an office from one of them. To my time as U.S. Attorney, to my time as Attorney General of the state running the office that I started in, I've had the chance to have a lot of experience with the men and women of law enforcement and develop an enormous pride in the dedication that they show and in the danger that they face every day. So I fully endorse Chairman Graham's remarks. I'm delighted that he has called this hearing. I'm honored to be here with our distinguished panel and eager to look forward to finding ways that we can improve the delivery of the benefits that are due to our public safety officers when they are injured, in particular what has been done to respond to the IG report that showed significant delays in providing some of these benefits. So to our chairman, thank you very much for holding this important hearing. To our witnesses, thank you for your service, and thank you for sharing with us your advice and your experience today. Thank you, Chairman. Mr. O'Carroll, your testimony that the regulations are unhelpful, unclear, and undermine the goal of many agents to return to work as quickly as possible is pretty powerful stuff, and you have our attention. I'd be interested in your further reaction to 2 things. One, you discuss the PSOB Improvement Act, which had a hearing in April of 2016, and I'd be interested in your reaction to what improvements you've seen as a result of that, if any. And you also discuss the proposed regulations that are now pending at OMB. And I'd like to make a request. I think I can safely say on behalf of Chairman Graham and myself that if the hearing runs out and the, week period, 2-week period, how long is the record going to be open? Okay. And the 1-week period in which the record of this hearing stays open expires, I would invite you to send the 2 of us a letter that gives us your opinion on what the regulation that actually comes out of OMB looks like and whether it's good enough. Could you respond to those 2 things?
Absolutely. One, I think that the hearing that I discussed before was very helpful because what it did was it addressed a lot of the issues of the family members with the claims of with PSOB for the benefits on it, and it made it clearer, easier, and more accessible to the families. So that part of it was very good. It made recommendations that would drop the bar that I was talking about in terms of the gainful activities portion of it, because much as the chief said sitting next to me brought up, is that in many cases with disabilities on it, it's especially the mental disabilities, it's not that cut and dry what type of work you're going to be capable of doing. And when that was some of the, I guess, refinements that are going to be necessary to come out of OMB in terms of these new rules for it. So I appreciate the fact that you're saying that let's keep the record open and that I can respond back to you.
We can only keep it open for a week.
Okay, but I can
But after
respond.
that, please, this is an invitation on behalf of Senator Graham and myself to send us a letter so that when the regulation does come out of OMB, if you are not satisfied with it, we know about that and we can take appropriate steps to follow up.
We appreciate that because they were supposed to have come out with their regulations about a month ago. So they're already 1 month late, and no one's really expecting it tomorrow. So it might be a few weeks before I respond back to you on that.
It might be even probably beyond that if I know my OMB. A lot of the concerns relate to the program as a workers' compensation system. There was a time in my life when I became a temporary expert in workers' compensation when we had to do a huge workers' comp reform in Rhode Island. I'd be interested, and this can be a question for the record if you want to come back to me in writing, if in any of these areas you think there is a state workers' compensation system that would make a particularly helpful model at correcting the deficiencies that you see in the federal system. Because All 50 states run their own. Some run very well, some are a nightmare and a disaster. Many are disasters in different ways, and many are successful in different ways. So if there's a model out there that you could commend to us, I think that would be helpful information for us to take a look at. And last, let me just ask Chief Stevens, you talked about the issue of mental health diagnoses and how those figure into these determinations. It's often, I think, considerably harder to get a permanent and total disability determination when the nature of the injury is psychological or mental rather than plainly physical. What advice do you have to us with respect to mental health injuries and harms?
I think part of the issue we have to deal with is the stigma of mental health, especially in law enforcement.
Especially, yes, sir.
And in many states, and I'll choose mine as an example, in Illinois, every officer has to have a firearms owner ID card, as does every citizen. And I get letters from the state police all the time that says a resident of my community has had their firearms owner ID revoked because, and the checkbox is, admission to a mental health facility. And a police officer will not do that because they know that box will be checked and they're going to lose their job.
Yeah.
That's the big issue.
Got it. Okay, that's very helpful. My time is up, but Chief Stevens, if you could flesh out a little bit for us, just in writing, what you would like to see in a clearinghouse of officer injury data, what that would look like to meet your goals and that of your organization, I think that would be very, very helpful. Again, thank you to the chairman for holding this important hearing. Thank you to all of you for being here. Detective Pickney, thank you. You deserve better. And Mr. Sutherland, thank you for putting in the effort to try to lean in from the private sector and help the heroes of our communities.